we're going to mix our mise en place of chocolate chip cookies. So here we go. We're going to use the mixer, the 7-quart on our bench. We're going to take our bowl. We're going to make sure we got both posts, and then we're going to snap it in and lock it into place. We're going to cream today, so we're going to put the paddle on. And we're going to take and follow our method. I have my formula right here, and I have all my mise en place laid out for me. It says to cream the butters and the fats together. Butters. And so the sugar, the butter, the shortening. I do want to show you that my butter is room temperature. It's super important in any type of creaming method, and I think in a lot of baking to have like temperatures. Baking is almost an emulsification. Sometimes we want those butters to be cold, like in laminated doughs, but in creaming, certainly we want it to be room temperature, and a lot of the time we'll pull it out of the reach-in or the walk-in, and it's very cold, and we're really not going to be able to incorporate and get that air that we want to use to kind of lock in between the sugars and the fat if we have butter that's really cold. So I've gone ahead and microwaved it and got it just at room temperature. And my culinary term that I like to use, and all the students make fun of me, is smushy. And so smushy is good for butter, in my opinion. So there's my butter. Now I'm going to get my shortening incorporated. And I'm going to start paddling that and letting the mixer do a lot of the work for me. And I'm going to pull up the back of my bowl. Then I'm going to come in here and let it start to rotate. And what's going to happen is as it comes around, it's going to blend both fats, the butter and the shortening, and then the sugars, and incorporate it and start locking air bubbles in there. And the creaming method really is almost a leavening agent on its own. So we're going to get it really well incorporated. I have my 3 eggs that are cracked and ready to go, and I'm following my method. We're going to start to add the eggs slowly. I can't stress enough that scraping is as important as a really good mise en place and a mixing method. These bowls, and especially as you get larger up in 12 quarts, 20 quarts, 60 quarts, a lot of the product can lay down below, and we want to make sure everything is incorporated and the mixer is allowed to do its job, and we do that by scraping. I have a handheld scraper too, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it each time, and I'm going to make sure that my product comes down the side of the bowl. I don't want anything on the side or the paddle. I want to make sure the whole bowl itself is ultimately very clean, and that I'm making sure I'm getting all the product on the bottom of the bowl. Scraping, I cannot stress, you're going to hear it from me all semester long, is as important. It is a great mise en place and a mixing method. Mixing method, very important. Mise en place, super important. Scraping, we want to make sure all that product is incorporated. A great end product is profit, and that's what we care about. So here I go. So I'm going to start adding. I'm going to let myself kind of paddle itself up. Start adding 1 egg at a time, and there goes 1 egg, and we're going to let them incorporate. The eggs can be a little bit colder, and they're hitting a warm product. We've warmed the butter to room temperature. It really wants to give it time to incorporate, so we're going to give it that time. I don't want to go too high. I'm not really trying to spank it as how I think sometimes when we turn it up so high. I want it to really just let the mixer do its job and let the product take its time to incorporate. So I can see that egg's incorporated, and I'm going to scrape it each time. I'm going to make sure I get everything scraped down, and the bottom of the bowl and the sides really come together very well. And your paddle, a lot of product can kind of climb up the side of that paddle. You want to make sure you scrape that really well. So again, get that in there. Turn it down a little fast. And I'm going to drop both eggs in here because I can. I don't want to do all 3 together. I really want to split it up. And you can see the cold eggs and the butter, sugar, flour mixture is not incorporating as well as I'd like. So what I want to do is give it a hand, scrape it again really well. Make sure it all comes in here together. Make sure that spatula gets all the product, especially off the bottom of that bowl. Super important. Okay. All this is now paddling. Next in my method is my dry ingredients, and you know I'm going to drop my vanilla in there too. We're going to get that going. Tendency to forget about my vanilla. I'm going to add my dry, and I have my chemical leavener, and I have salt. And for this kind of product, I call it the Carrie Logan sifting method. We're just going to come in here and incorporate it a little bit, give it a little shake, and that helps really kind of get all those dry ingredients broken up and dispersed together, I don't really want to sift it necessarily because it's a cookie, because I'm not really trying to get a whole lot of air. It's got a chemical leavener in it. We've done the creaming method. Sifting is not part of this cookie, so I'm going to get that in there on my dry. And what's important, I see a little in the corner. Get it in there. I don't want to turn it on real high because it's a lesson learned. We're going to slowly get it incorporated, and finally what I have left to go are my chocolate chips. We're going to let all the dry get incorporated, and again, one more time, a really good scrape. Super important to get in, and now that we've added that dry, we could have a little butter, flour, egg mixture kind of laying on that bottom. We want to get it all incorporated and make sure even the last cookie that we scoop off the bottom of this bowl is a perfect cookie. That's what's really important. So here it goes, and it's all coming together. You can hear it. The mixer's gonna, this has got a little thicker. Come in, make sure I scrape it really well. And when it does like this, and I'm gonna make sure I scrape my scraper too. I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna move my paddle around. There we go, so I can get scraped all the way around. Super important. There we go, sides, I got the bottom. Go in here, I'm gonna give it a mix. There, beautiful, that looks beautiful. Give it another little mix on low. I'm gonna start adding my chocolate chips. I'm gonna let the mixer do the work for me and get those chocolate chips all incorporated. I'm not gonna dump them in all at once, because the cookie dough is a thicker dough. And so I wanna let it get incorporated and let it do all, oh my gosh, I forgot that. And do all the work for me. That looks really good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scrape it. It's kind of climbed up this paddle. At the end of any product that I mix, I always go in and give it a really good scrape. We don't want to waste it. And then we're going to have to get this paddle off this mixer. It's on our list of to-dos. Get that product off there too. Come in here and pop it up, turn it and drop it down. And then we're going to scrape it really well. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to scrape the paddle and get all the product off. I'm going to come back in and give this whole bowl a really good scrape and turn the product one more time. And next what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to portion the cookies and bake them. We're going to portion our chocolate chip cookie dough now. We use portion scoops. They are color coded for different sizes, and also you can tell what size the portion scoop is by the interior of the scoop. It has a number on the interior, and that number in the interior relates to how many scoops it takes for a gallon of ice cream. And this is a number 24 and this is a number 16, which means 16 scoops to a gallon of ice cream. We're going to use the number 24 today. We have incorporated our cookie dough and scraped it really well. We're going to come in and we're going to get a nice healthy scoop, but we're going to clean it up as we bring it across the bowl, and we're going to drop it down, and we're going to do a scoop all the way across at each point. We're going to go 3 by 5, and that really gives just, we can get as many as we can on the sheet pan, and also we give the chocolate chip cookie room to grow and spread, and it's perfect for loading it into the oven. So we're going to go 3 across and 5 down. It makes 2 sheet pans, so I'm going to do that for both sheet pans now. All right, we're ready to load our chocolate chip cookies and bake them. They're going to be delicious. So here we go. At the same time, we're going to learn how to use this rotating oven. It's a Picard rotating oven. It's got 8 shelves. We can do 3 full sheet pans across. As you can see, it rotates either clockwise or counterclockwise. We're going to learn how to stop the shelves and load them. We load from the right, unload from the left. Keeps us very safe with a large amount of students. So as the shelves start to come up forward, we're going to use these buttons right here. We can stop it, which is red. And it has a little play in it, so depending on, it's a game we play, to get the shelf to be just even across, it's very fun to do. So we're going to come in, and I have my chocolate chip cookies scooped, like I said, 3 by 5. You have to make sure you get your sheet pan and your cookies all the way to the back. We're going to make sure each time we take that sheet pan and we push it all the way to the back. Sometimes we can load them quickly. We want to make sure each time we go to the back, we don't want a sheet pan that has any lag in the front. I'm going to close the oven door and start the rotation. And these cookies take about 15 minutes, so I'm going to make sure I set my timer because I'm in charge of my cookies and their bake. All right, our chocolate chip cookies are done. And I can tell, first off, they're done because I can smell them. And that's a really good way to know your product is just about to be completed. We're going to learn how to check our product, what we're looking for in the cookie, and then how to take it out safely every single time. So I'm going to look for my cookies in the oven and keep peeking. I make sure there's no students around me and that they know I'm opening and that I'm gonna have a hot product. It's super important to let people know around you that you're getting ready to pull out of the oven. Here they come. They're gonna come right around. I can tell they're done because I can smell them, first of all, and they smell so good. It's just really a good thing. And I'm gonna use my button here and stop my shelf, and there are both sets of trays of my cookies. I'm gonna come in and take a look at them. What I'm looking for is a golden halo around the edge, and that the product has risen in the middle. It's a really good sign. Everyone's like, I just don't know when it's done. Well, the oven's at 350 degrees. 350 degrees has now come through the cookie all the way and risen the product all the way up to the top. So that's a good sign that everything's being baked. They're the right color. They look really good. They smell even better. So I'm gonna make sure I let people know. And every time I take from the oven, I'm gonna go to the left and I'm gonna say swinging hot, right? Hot product, swinging to the left. And I'm gonna load my product up at the very top. I wanna make sure I keep organized and everybody's product is pulled and it goes in succession down the baker's rack. So here's my second sheet pan, and I'm gonna say again, to make sure everybody's safe and nobody around me gets a hot sheet pan on them. Swinging hot, swinging to the left. I'm gonna load my sheet pan right up to the top again. I'm gonna come back. Everybody pulls their own product. You're not responsible for anyone else's but your own. The product is in there. You're gonna close the oven door, use the up arrow, and you're good to go.